Today we are planting out 150,000 calories, which stems from everything from tomatoes to cucumbers to herbs, and even got beneficial ways that you can increase all your yield. So I'm going to be planting 95 different tomatoes, 85,000 calories in my trellised area here in our no dig garden beds. We have laid down about 15 centimetres of horse manure throughout this patch to make sure that it has really great soil. I've hardened all of these off and they're looking fantastic. I'm just going to plant these out one per stake. The deeper you plant them, the better it will be because they'll have more roots. And I'm going to be putting bloodfish and bone in, and we're going to remove all the bottom leaves. Once again, we don't want any leaf touching the soil. Any leaf touching the soil is just asking and inviting disease. How many tomatoes are you growing this year? Let us know down below. We're growing 20 pepper plants and 15 chilli plants this year. Together with the peppers and the chillies, that's 10,000 calories. We're looking for roughly about 25 kilos of peppers this year and about 10 kilos of chillies. We've got a lot of different sources and ideas of how we're going to be storing and using this over the season. I've waited until the chance of frost is completely past and it started to warm up. It's important that the temperature of the soil is warmed up before you plant out your peppers. So I'm planting them just over a foot apart or 45 centimetres apart in a no-dig bed that's been enriched with horse manure. I am planting 5 of my pepper plants in the greenhouse. This will improve our yield by a massive amount, about 30%, whereas outdoors it just doesn't get as warm here in the UK. Are you going to be growing peppers inside or outside this year? Let me know down below. We're going to be planting our cucumber plants in this bed here. Plants should yield about 20 kilos of cucumbers or 3,200 calories. Remember that cucumbers are not calorie dense at all, but they are absolutely piping full of vitamin K and antioxidants, which is so good for health. I generally think that food is the best medicine. Now, cucumbers, you want between 2 and 3 cucumber plants per person. We're going for 8, which is like bang in the middle, because we're also going to be doing pickles. A lot of pickles. We really want to preserve a ton of them for over winter period. I have hoed the bed to get rid of any of the weeds on the surface. I'm also going to put a small handful of fish and bone, which will boost their leaf production, but not too much because you don't want it to burn the roots or just produce too many leaves. We're going to be planting them 2 foot apart on a vertical trellis. I'm not 100% sure what the trellis is going to look like, but it's going to be some sort of A-frame. Trellises produce better airflow and it produces about 30% more fruit, which is because of the good air circulation, which reduces things like powdery mildew. There's going to be pickles on one side and cucumbers on the others. So the next thing I'm going to be planting is my summer squash. I've got courgette and I've got a yellow custard summer squash. These 2 plants should produce about 10 kilos worth of food, which is about 1,500 calories, which is full of nutrition. Vitamin A for good skin and manganese for healthy bones. Seeing this like little bit of area here that's very unproductive at the end of this cabbage bed, so I'm going to whop them in here because the cabbage is going to be done soon because I planted them last winter. These 2 need about 3 foot apart and 3 foot between rows. So I'm going to pop them in here and see what happens. I'm actually terrible at growing courgette, not because it doesn't grow, it's normally because someone treads on it, Jasmine cuts off the growing tip. So I'm not 100% convinced that this is the right place. It is really hot this year, so I thought I'd experiment with sweet potatoes again. We're looking to growing about 10 plants of sweet potato, which would be about 15,600 calories. So a pretty good chunk of our year's supply, considering I and Andrew are the only ones who eat sweet potato. They're absolutely packed full of beta carotene, and they even have 100% of the daily vitamin A that you need daily. We're going to be putting it in full sun and we're going to plant them about a foot apart. This is a little bit of a gamble, but honestly, if we were able to grow the sweet potatoes this year, it would give us a massive boost because they store so extremely well. Another thing we're going to be dabbling in to get our year's worth of food is ground cherries. It's something I've never actually grown before. I did research this quite thoroughly and it's literally every other thing I read counteracted whatever I read before. Some people say they don't grow in the UK. People say that they're really super invasive. Some people say that they taste absolutely horrible. Some people say they taste amazing. So I was really on the fence about this, but the lovely Robin sent me some seeds and I was like, right, I'm gonna try them. Stuck them in the ground and they all germinated. So naturally, I'm gonna have to plant them all out. I have 8 little seedlings raring to go out and I'm quite excited about what they taste like. I'm going to be planting them 2 foot apart and hopefully get some ground cherries this year. If you've got experience with ground cherries, please let me know because I literally have no idea what I'm doing with them. This video is sponsored by Catoli. Thank you, Catoli, for sponsoring this video. It's difficult when you're starting out gardening to know when you're meant to water, what pH your soil is, what that means. Do you have to amend your soil? So a gadget like this is absolutely fundamental. It tells you everything from light intensity, pH, to the moisture, whether you need to water, etc., which takes a lot of guesswork out of gardening, especially if you're just starting out. But I've used this tons and tons today, and it's so robust. I've been stabbing it into the soil. We've got clay soil, so got to get that stab right in there, and it's been absolutely epic. I do think this is a bit of a game changer if you are not very confident in growing to start off with. If you're interested in picking up your own 6-in-1 soil tester, I'll leave the link in the description below. As it moves from early morning into afternoon, it just gets absolutely so hot. But luckily we have this shady bit. It made me start thinking about all of the things that will tolerate shade. I decided to plant out some herbs, and I know what you're thinking, but they're not going to help you at all. No, not necessarily, but we are dabbling in herbal remedies. That and herbs are really expensive in the shop when you can grow them like weeds at home. A ton of herbs that I'm going to be putting in. Basil alongside here, so it will get a couple of hours of shade throughout the day, but it is full on sun. And I've done yarrow as well, which is a really fascinating herb that is very good for blood loss and will tolerate partial shade. I've also planted a sunken pot of licorice mint. If I sink mint into the ground, then there's going to be no spreading of it, and I've got lemon balm to put in, and I've got some more mint to put in. So I'm going to be taking containers and just doing the same thing I've done there, and then I'm just going to be mulching around it so it just looks nice. Have you ever tried any herbs for medicine? Let me know down below. What are your tips and tricks? I'm always looking to learn. If you like this video, I've picked this one out just for you. It's all about growing a year's worth of food with perennials, and I'll see you there.